From the Risale-i collection, the words by Bediuzzaman Said Nursi. The second station of the 14th Flashes. This, which has been included here because of its relevance, concerns 6 of the thousands of mysterious contained in the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate. In the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Note: a bright light from in the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate, concerning divine mercy, appeared to my dull mind from afar. I wanted to record it for myself in the form of notes, and to hunt it down and capture it, and to circumscribe the light with 20 to 30 mysterious. But unfortunately, I was not able to do this at the present time, and the 20 or 30 mysterious were reduced to 5 or 6. When I say, "Oh man," I mean myself. And while this lesson is directed particularly to my own soul, I refer it as the second station of the 14th Flash for the approval of my meticulous brothers, in the hope that it may benefit those with whom I am connected spiritually and whose souls are more prudent than mine. This lesson looks to the heart more than the mind, and regards spiritual pleasure rather than rational proofs. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. The Queen said, "Ye chiefs, here is delivered to me a letter worthy of respect. It is from Solomon, and is as follows. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate." Quran, chapter 27, verses 29 to 30. A number of mysteries will be mentioned in this station. First mystery. I saw one manifestation of in the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate, as follows. On the face of the universe, the face of the earth, and the face of man are 3 stamps of dominicality, one within the other, and each showing samples of the others. The first is the great stamp of Godhead, which is manifest through the mutual assistance, cooperation, and embracing and corresponding to one another of beings in the totality of the universe. This looks to in the name of Allah. The second is the great stamp of divine mercifulness, which is manifest through the mutual resemblance and proportion, order, harmony, favor, and compassion in the disposal, raising, and administration of plants and animals on the face of the earth. This leads to, in the name of Allah, the Merciful. Then, there is the exalted stamp of divine compassionateness, which is manifest through the subtleties of divine beneficence, fine points of divine clemency, and rays of divine compassion on the face of man's comprehensive nature. This looks to the compassionate in the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. That is to say, in the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate, is the sacred title of 3 stamps of divine oneness, which form a luminous line on the page of the world and a strong cord and shining filament. That is, through being revealed from above, the tip of in the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate, rests on man, the fruit of the universe, and miniature copy of the world. It binds the lower world to the divine throne. It is a way for man to ascend to the divine throne. Second mystery. In order not to overwhelm minds by divine unity, which is apparent in the boundless multiplicity of creatures, the Quran of miraculous exposition constantly points out the manifestation of divine oneness within divine unity. For example, the sun encompasses numberless things with its light. in order to consider the sun itself in the totality of its light, a most extensive conceptual ability and comprehensive view is necessary. So, lest the sun itself be forgotten, it is displayed in every shining object by means of its reflection. And in accordance with the capacity of each, all shining objects display the sun's qualities, such as its light and heat, together with the manifestation of its essence. And just as in accordance with their capacities, all lustrous objects show the sun together with all its attributes, so too do the sun's qualities, like its light and heat, and the seven colors in its light, all encompass all the things facing it. In the same way, and God's is the highest similitude. Quran chapter 16 verse 60. But let there be no mistake in the comparison. Just as divine oneness and eternal besottedness have a manifestation together with all the divine names in everything, in animate creatures in particular, and especially in man's mirror-like essence, so too through divine unity does each of the divine names connected to beings encompass all beings. Thus, lest minds become overwhelmed by divine unity and hearts forget the most pure and holy essence, the Quran constantly puts before the eyes the stamp of divine oneness within divine unity, and that is, in the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate, which points out the three important points of the stamp. Third mystery. What makes this boundless universe rejoice is clearly divine mercy, and what illuminates these dark beings is self-evidently divine mercy, and what fosters and raises creatures struggling within these endless needs is self-evidently again divine mercy, and what causes the whole universe to be turned towards man like a tree together with all its parts is turned towards its fruit and causes it to look to him and run to his assistance is clearly divine mercy, and what fills and illuminates boundless space and the empty, vacant world and makes it rejoice is self-evidently divine mercy, and what designates an ephemeral man for eternity and makes him the addressee and beloved of a pre-eternal and post-eternal one is self-evidently divine mercy. Oh man, since divine mercy is such a powerful, inviting, sweet, assisting, lovable truth, say, in the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate, adhere to this truth and be saved from absolute desolation and the pains of unending needs. Draw close to the throne of the pre-eternal and post-eternal monarch, and through the compassion and rays of divine mercy, become the addressee, friend, and beloved of that monarch. Indeed, to gather with wisdom around man the realms of beings in the universe, and to make them hasten to meet all his needs with perfect order and favor is clearly one of two situations. Either each realm of beings in the universe itself knows man and obeys him, runs to help him, which, just as it is completely irrational, is also impossible in many respects, or an absolutely impotent being like man has to possess the power of the mightiest absolute sovereign, or this assistance occurs through the knowledge of an absolutely powerful one behind the veil of the universe. That is to say, it is not that the different beings in the universe know man, but that they are the evidences of a knowing, compassionate one being acquainted with him and knowing him. O man, come to your senses. Is it at all possible that the all-glorious one who causes all the varieties of creatures to turn towards you and stretch out their hands to assist you, and causes them to say, "Here we are," in the face of your needs, is it possible that he does not know you? is not acquainted with you, does not see you. Since he does know you, he informs you that he knows you through his mercy, so you know him too. And with respect, let him know that you know him, and understand with certainty that what subjugates the vast universe to an absolutely weak, absolutely impotent, absolutely needy, ephemeral, insignificant creature like you, and dispatches it to assist you, is the truth of divine mercy, which comprises wisdom, favor, knowledge, and power. Most certainly, a mercy such as this requires universal and sincere thanks, and earnest and genuine respect. Therefore say, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, which is the interpreter and expression of such sincere thanks and genuine respect, and make it the means of attaining to the mercy and an intercessor at the court of the all-merciful one. Indeed, the existence and reality of divine mercy is as clear as the sun. For just as a woven tapestry centered on one point is formed by the order and situation of the threads of its warp and weft coming from all directions, so too the luminous threads extending from the manifestation of 1,001 divine names in the vast sphere of the universe weave such a seal of compassionateness, tapestry of clemency, and seal of benevolence within a stamp of mercy that it demonstrates itself to minds more brilliantly than the sun. The beauty is all merciful one, who orders the sun and moon, the elements and minerals, plants and animals like the warp and weft of a vast woven tapestry through the rays of his 1,001 names, and causes them to serve life and demonstrates his compassion through the exceedingly sweet and self-sacrificing compassion of all mothers, plant and animal, and subjugates animate creatures to human life, and from this demonstrates man's importance and a most fine and lovely large tapestry of divine dominicality, and manifests his most brilliant mercy, has, in the face of his own absolute lack of need, made his mercy an acceptable intercessor for animate creatures and men. O man, if you are truly a human being, say, in the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate. Find that intercessor, for sure it is clearly, self-evidently divine mercy which, without forgetting or confusing any of them, raises, nurtures, and administers the 400,000 different plant and animal species on the earth at precisely the right time, and with perfect order, wisdom, beneficence, and stamps the seal of divine oneness on the face of the globe of the earth. And just as the existence of divine mercy is as certain as the existence of the beings on the face of the earth, so too do the beings form as many evidences to its reality as their own number. Like on the face of the earth there is such a seal of mercy and stamp of divine oneness, so also on the face of man's nature is a stamp of divine mercy, which is not inferior to the stamp of compassion and vast stamp of mercy on the face of the universe. Simply, man possesses a comprehensiveness like being a point of focus of 1,001 divine names. O man, is it at all possible that the one who gives you this face and places such a stamp of mercy and seal of oneness on it would leave you to your own devices, attach no importance to you, pay no attention to your actions, make the whole universe which is turned towards you futile and pointless, and make the tree of creation rotten and insignificant with decayed fruit? Would he cause to be denied his mercy, which is as obvious as the sun, and his wisdom, which is as clear as light, neither of which can in any way be doubted, nor are in any way deficient? God forbid. O man, you should know that there is a way to ascend to the throne of divine mercy, and that is in the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. If you want to understand how important this way of ascent is, look at the beginning of the 114 chapters of the Quran of miraculous exposition, and at the beginnings of all estimable books, and at the start of all good works, and a clear proof of the God-determined grandeur of in the name of Allah is that the very foremost Islamic scholars like Imam Shafi'i, may Allah be pleased with him, said, although in the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate is one verse, it was revealed 114 times in the Quran. Fourth mystery. To declare you alone do we worship in the face of the manifestation of divine unity within boundless multiplicity is not sufficient for everyone, the mind wanders. It is necessary to possess a heart as broad as the globe of the earth in order to observe the unique and single one behind the unity in the totality and to say, you alone do we worship, and from you alone do we seek help. Quran chapter 1, verse 5. As a consequence of this, so that the seal of divine oneness should be apparent on all species and realms of beings, just as it is shown clearly on individual objects, and that they should call to mind the unique and single one, it is shown within the stamp of divine mercy. Thus, everyone at every level may turn to the most pure and holy one and saying, you alone do we worship, and from you alone do we seek help, address him directly. It is in order to express this mighty mystery and clearly point out the seal of divine mercy that the all-wise Quran suddenly mentions the smallest sphere and most particular matter when describing the vastest sphere of the universe, for example, the creation of the heavens and the earth. And so that the mind does not wander, nor the heart drown, and the spirit may find directly its true object of worship, it opens the subject of man's creation and man's voice, and the subtle details of the bounties and wisdom in his features. For example, while mentioning the creation of the heavens and earth. The verse, and among his signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the variations in your languages and in your colors. Quran chapter 30, verse 22. Demonstrates this truth in a miraculous fashion. Within innumerable creatures and an infinite multiplicity, there are sorts and degrees of stamps of divine unity, like concentric circles, from the greatest stamp to the smallest. But, however clear that unity is, it is still a unity within multiplicity. It cannot truly address observers. It is because of this that there has to be the stamp of divine oneness behind unity, so that unity does not call to mind multiplicity, and directly before the most pure and holy one, a way may be opened up to the heart. Furthermore, in order to direct gazes towards the stamp of divine oneness and attract hearts towards it, a most captivating design, shining light, agreeable sweetness, pleasing beauty, and powerful truth, which is the stamp of divine mercy and seal of divine compassion, has been placed on it. For sure, it is the strength of that mercy which attracts the gazes of conscious beings, draws them to it, and causes them to reach the seal of oneness and to observe the unique and single one, and from that to manifest the true address in you alone do we worship, and from you alone do we seek help. Thus, it is true in the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate, being the index of the Surah Al-Fatiha and a concise summary of the Quran that it is the sign and interpreter of this mighty mystery. One who acquires this sign may travel through the levels of divine mercy, and one who causes this interpreter to speak may learn the mysteries of divine mercy and see the lights of divine compassion and pity. Fifth mystery. There is a hadith which goes something like this. Allah created man in the form of the All-Merciful One. Indeed, Allah created Adam in the form of the Most Merciful. Bukhari, İstidhan, page 1. Muslim 115. Musnad Jannah 22, 244, 251, 315, 323, 434, 463, 519. It has been interpreted by some Sufis in an extraordinary way, inappropriate to the tenets of belief. Some of them who were ecstatics even considered man's spiritual nature to be in the form of the All-Merciful. Since ecstatics are mostly immersed in contemplation and confused, they are perhaps to be excused in holding views contrary to reality. But, on consideration, those in their senses cannot accept their ideas which are contrary to the fundamentals of belief. If they do, they are in error. Indeed, the most pure and holy deity, who administers with order the whole universe as though it was a palace or house, and spins the stars as though they were particles, and causes them to travel through space with wisdom and ease, and employs minute particles as though they were orderly officials, has no partner, match, opposite, or equal. So, also according to the meaning of the verse, there is nothing whatever like unto him, and he hears and sees all things. Quran chapter 42, verse 11. He has no form, like or peer. There is nothing resembling or similar to him. However, according to the meaning and manner of comparison of the following verse, and his is the highest similitude in the heavens and the earth, and he is exalted in might, full of wisdom. Quran chapter 30, verse 27. His actions, attributes, and names may be considered. That is to say, there is allegory and comparison in regard to his actions. One aim of the above-mentioned hadith is as follows. Man is in a form showing the divine name of All-Merciful in its entirety. For sure, as we explained before, just as the divine name of All-Merciful is manifest through the rays of 1,001 names on the face of the universe and is apparent in innumerable manifestations of God's absolute dominicality on the face of the earth, so also is the complete manifestation of the name All-Merciful apparent in a small measure in man's comprehensive form, like on the face of the earth and the face of the universe. A further indication is this. The evidences to the necessarily existent one of places of manifestation, like animate creatures and man, who are proofs of and mirrors to the All-Merciful and Compassionate One, are so certain, clear, and obvious that, just as it may be said of a shining mirror which reflects the image of the sun, that mirror is the sun, indicating to the clarity of its brilliance and evidence, so also it has been said and may be said. Man is in the form of the All-Merciful One, indicating to the clearness of his evidence and completeness of his connection. It is as a consequence of this mystery that the more moderate of those who believed in the unity of existence said, "There is no existent but He," as a way of expressing the clarity of this evidence and perfection of connection. O God, O most merciful one, most compassionate one, through the truth of in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, have mercy on us as befits your compassionateness, and allow us to understand the mysteries of in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, as befits your mercifulness. Amen. Sixth mystery. O unhappy man, struggling within a boundless impotence and endless wants, you should understand just what a valuable means and acceptable intercessor is divine mercy. For divine mercy is the means to an all-glorious sovereign in whose army both the stars and minute particles serve together in perfect order and obedience. And that all-glorious one and sovereign of pre-eternity and post-eternity is self-sufficient. He is utterly without need. He is rich without limit, being in no respect needy of the universe and beings. The whole universe is under his command and direction, utterly obedient beneath his majesty and grandeur, submissive before his sublimity. That is divine mercy for you. O man, it raises you to the presence of the one absolutely lacking any need, the eternal sovereign, and makes you his friend, addressee, and well-loved servant. But just as you cannot reach the sun, are far from it, and can in no way draw close to it, although the sun's light gives you its reflection and manifestation by means of your mirror. In the same way, you are infinitely distant from the most pure and holy one, the Son of pre-eternity and post-eternity, and cannot draw close to him, but the light of his mercy makes him closer to us. And so, O man, he who finds this mercy finds an eternal, unfailing treasury of light. And the way to find it is through following the practices of the most noble prophet, upon whom be blessings and peace, who was the most brilliant exemplar and representative of mercy, its most eloquent tongue and herald, and was described in the Quran as a mercy to all the worlds. And the means to this embodiment of mercy, who is a mercy to all the worlds, is to utter the prayer calling down God's blessings upon him. Indeed, the meaning of this prayer is mercy. As a prayer of mercy for that living embodiment of divine mercy, it is the means of reaching the mercy to all the worlds. So, make this prayer the means to the mercy to all the worlds for yourself, and at the same time make him the means to the mercy of the most merciful one. The whole Muslim community in all their great numbers, uttering this prayer, which is synonymous with mercy, for the mercy to all the worlds, proves in brilliant fashion what a valuable divine gift is divine mercy, and how broad is its sphere. To conclude, just as the most precious level in the treasury of mercy and its doorkeeper is the Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be blessings and peace, so too is its first key in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, and its most easy key, the prayer for the Prophet. O God, through the truth of in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, grant blessings and peace to the one whom you send as a mercy to all the worlds, as befits your mercy, and in veneration of him and to all his family and companions. And grant us mercy so as to make us free of want for the mercy of any other than you from among your creatures. Amen. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save that which you have taught us. Indeed, you are all-knowing, all-wise. Quran, chapter 2, verse 32.